Hi, this is Miss Park from Park's K class. Welcome. Today, we're going to learn 4 unique features of the Korean language and history of the Korean alphabet. So here we go. Don't forget to subscribe the channel for the more videos. Here is lesson summary. The first one is 4 unique features of the Korean language, and the second part is about the history of Korean alphabet, like who, when, and why they made it. Okay, so let's take a look. The Korean language 4 features. First one is Korean language is SOV language. What is SOV? Yes, S is for subject, O is for object, V is for the verb. The why, what you need to remember is that the Korean language is always finishes with the verb. Remember, always finish with the verb. The second feature is that there are particles that define the noun's role in the sentence, such as 이가 are subject particles, or 은는 are topic particles, 을을 are object particles. These particles always come right after the nouns, and whenever you see these particles in the Korean sentence, you can decide whether the noun is the subject, topic, or object in the sentences. Like subject, like I, you, we, right? And then object will be something I eat, kimchi. Like kimchi would be object. We will look into it more later, but all I want you to remember is that the Korean language has a particle. Yeah? Okay, let's take a look. Third features. Third feature is that the subject and object can be omitted during conversation. So in English, there is always a subject in the sentence, like I, you, or we. But in Korean sentences, you can skip it. So during conversation, like 한국 음악 좋아해요 means, do you like Korean music? But if I literally interpret it, do like Korean music, what is missing? Yes, in the sentence, the subject, you is missing. But it still makes sense. The answer part says, yes, like. 네, 좋아해요. So also missing subject I. However, don't forget it. It could happen during a conversation. And the last feature is about honorifics. This is pretty important to know because usually Korean use different verbs or nouns to express their politeness. Yes, politeness. To your friend, you could say just 안녕, short, simple. However, if you say it to someone who is older than you or to a stranger, you need to say 안녕하세요, like longer version to show your politeness. All right, you got it? Let's go to next part. History of Korean alphabet. Do you know what the Korean alphabet is called in Korean? Yes, it's called Hangeul. Hangeul. Please remember, it's called Hangeul. To understand the Hangul, we need to know the history, right? The first, who made it? Yes, the great King Sejong. If you go Korea, you can see Sejong statue right there in Gwanghwamun area. It's just the King Sejong? Nope. It's the great King Sejong. We call the great King Sejong. Not just King Sejong. It's the great. When is it made? When he made the Korean alphabet. With, not just him, but with other 13 scholars, created the Hangul alphabet in 1443. However, it is published in 1446. Then you can have some question. Why? Why did he make it, right? Long story short, the great King Sejong cared about his people, especially the common people. So before 1443, Korean people had to borrow Chinese characters for writing, even though they had their own Korean language. Learning Chinese characters. Have you ever seen Chinese character? It looks like this. Those are kind of complicated to learn. So the commoners couldn't couldn't learn the Chinese characters because they are busy to, to work and then to leave. However, learning Chinese characters becomes a symbol of power for elites and nobles. Lots of common people who don't know how to read could not defend themselves from corrupted elites and nobles who easily distorted the commoners' voices. So the great King Sejong knew about this problem, so he created the Korean alphabet for his common people. There were a lot of conflicts between him and elites when he created this Korean alphabet. However, he was consistent and finally came out to the world in 1446. So commoners finally read and write easily instead of using the complex Chinese letter that do not match the Korean language. Alright? So I want to say 감사합니다. Thank you. The great King Sejong. Yay! Let's talk about the Hangul more. Why Hangul is unique? Yes, Hangul is the only alphabet in the world with the historical documentation of its creator and when it was invented. Yes, please remember when and why. And there's a documentation. Secondly, also it is created based on the shapes of human speech organ, not just randomly. They didn't create it randomly. They made it based on shapes of human speech organ, like tongue, teeth, lips, and then throat. Alright, that's it for today's lesson. Here's some quiz. The answer will be down below. Number 1. What are 4 unique features of the Korean language? Number 2. What is Korean alphabet called? Remember, start with the Han. Alright. Number 3. Who created the Korean alphabet? The Great. Number 4. Why was it created? Okay. Next lesson, we're going to learn about how we make Korean letter with consonants and vowels. Alright, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. This is the Miss Park, and from Park's K lesson. See you next time. Bye.